So, okay, we're live.
Honestly, I hope she's done.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Maybe this will be the swan song for River Song.
yeah. I hope this is the part where she goes to meet the David Tennant doctor. Like after whatever they have to go through, she goes back in time to meet the Tennant doctor, and that's where she dies. Remember in the Silence in the Library?
Yep. I have not forgotten. I have not stopped thinking about Silence in the Library
Yeah.
in the context of all of this. So, with that, let's get started with this 27th episode of the Who Virgin podcast. Uh, we are going to have some fights. If you listen to our last episode, we had some fights last episode, and I was kind of in the middle. Um, but I have definitely taken a side at this point, and we're going to get into that. I got through the entire rest of season 6, and stay tuned after the middle because we have a special exclusive interview where I got to sit down with Nikki and John, who were in town from New Zealand here in Austin. And we talked a little bit about season 6. We talked about New Zealand and how it is to be a Doctor Who fan in New Zealand and some of their favorite stuff. And then we went and sang karaoke at the Highball here in Austin. So that was good times. I'll see if I can splice in any of that audio. Anyone who was watching on Periscope, um, we Periscope that stuff. So I hope you were watching because that was some good times. But let's just dive straight into this. Let's kill Hitler. First of all, I was 100% disappointed that there was 100% less killing of Hitler than the title promised me. So, um, but other than that, man, this was actually a really great episode and explained a lot of what was going on. I felt like at the beginning of the episode, I'm like, oh, great, a retcon. They're bringing in um, this new character of Mel, and now we have to pretend like we've always known her, and she's going to be a part of this. But no, um, so it was really great. I felt like they were doing like a season 5 of Buffy thing where suddenly they retconned it in, and she has a little sister now, and it's like what? Um, but no, it made sense within the episode. But then I have some other major problems with it. But overall, I thought this was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I liked it. I thought what they did with it was completely unexpected. And of course, whenever anybody's told, what would you do if you had a time machine? Everybody always says, I'd go back in time and kill Hitler.
Hmm.
And the ethics part of that is we don't know what would happen if you do kill Hitler. There's going to be a vacuum. There'll be another person who's probably worse than him, or you may bring immediate peace. You never know what's going to happen. And that's exactly what happened in the episode. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know that Mel, the Rory and Amy's friend, ever since God knows when, since they were kids, turned out to be their daughter, River Song. So they ended up spending their lifetime with their child without them knowing it until it was revealed later on. I
Yeah,
thought that was pretty cool. That was a cool way to have them experience their daughter without them knowing it, I guess.
yeah. So that's interesting. But we'll get into
We're
my
gonna get into that. Yeah, I'm putting on my boxing gloves right now.
Melissa.
Well, I mean, who doesn't love to see?
Let the hate flow through you.
Well, like I said, who doesn't love to see Hitler thrown in a pantry? I mean, that was fun, you
That
know.
was cool.
But I had serious issues with this episode. Several of them, not just the ones that Marco probably thinks. First of all, we start the episode with Amy asking the doctor about her baby, and then just shrugging it off like it's not a big deal when he hasn't found her. I'm sorry. It's, you know, okay, I know I don't have children, okay? But I imagine if I gave birth to a child and she was taken from me, that I don't care how much I trust this Time Lord, this alien being, I would not just sit back and let him go find her and not check in with him, not go with him, not, I mean, you know, she's a mother now, and there's certain biological instincts that kick in. And she's displaying none of them. She's displaying no emotion over her baby being gone. It doesn't matter if she knows that she grows up to be River. She's never going to see her grow up. That's a loss.
But she did.
Yeah. No.
No,
but,
she didn't.
No, but she didn't.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I think the most important part of all of this is when the baby is actually an infant and going through that whole bonding thing of feeding and all of the developmental stages and learning to talk and learning to walk. And that bond between child and parent is huge for those first few years. Like, their first memories that they had with Mel or whatever couldn't have been when they were younger than 5 or 6. So yes, maybe they technically grew up with their daughter from them, but that's not the same as mothering that child. That's not the same as fathering that child.
Nobody said it was the same, but from that experience to nothing, what would you have?
I just think that's total BS.
No,
Yeah.
but the question is, from that experience to nothing, what would you have?
Okay. But
you wouldn't take that experience?
Okay,
You'd rather
well,
just say, I'd prefer nothing. Because
No.
at that point, you're just being an ass.
No,
Like,
I'm not saying I wouldn't take nothing, but if the doctor has a TARDIS and he's able to go and go and find this like he's supposed to, and actually go search for the baby, it's like, and this is my problem for the entire rest of the season, is that's never a priority, that's never addressed. And, Amy and Rory are just hung out to dry, and they just say, oh, well, you know what, she grows up to be River, and that's okay.
You're already forgetting the doctor's wife. The doctor goes where the TARDIS has him go to, where he's needed, where he needs to be.
Well, then she's a dick.
Happened. These were fixed points in reality. They had to happen. The TARDIS could not interfere. It had to happen. You already saw it. Like, if they would have kept this from happening, the entire existence of the universe would have gone crazy, which what was about to happen.
Okay, but even if that, let's
couldn't
hold
be fixed.
Okay, but that does not excuse Amy showing zero emotion over it.
Oh, you know what? Somebody died. Sorry, it's a fixed point in time. Oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not sad that I miss that person anymore. No, that's bullcrap.
To a baby and never got to raise her. Yeah, that doesn't make her sad at all.
I'll just
rest for 2 whole minutes in the season finale when she kills Eye Patch Lady. That's the only time she goes back to it at all.
Yep.
And he still doesn't even seem emotional over it. It's almost like they threw it in because maybe they had to or something. But
they didn't have to.
She showed no sense of loss. Do you understand?
She showed way more emotion and mourning over losing the doctor than she ever did over her losing her own child. And
I mean, you brought it up yourself. There wasn't that bond. I mean, this is an extremely loaded situation. I mean, it just is. There was nothing she could have done. There's nothing. She doesn't have her own TARDIS. And she couldn't fix the fixed point in time. Neither could the doctor. They tried, and it backfired on them.
Then isn't she allowed to be sad about that?
Yeah, but who says that when she's at home she wasn't sad? We don't know what happens off camera. You want all the emotion to happen in a scene of 5 seconds, And
I
that's
never
asking too
said
much.
that. I never said that, but she should have showed something, Marco. I don't know why you keep you did this last week too. Every time I say that she should have showed some emotion, you go to like the worst place possible. Like, what did you say? Cower in a corner or go to hysterical? You
Yeah,
always
because
go to the worst place possible. It doesn't have to be the worst place possible. We don't have to see her in bed for 3 months in her pajamas, but we need to see something that shows her humanity, that she lost her child.
yeah, but we don't know what happens off camera.
And that's the problem
Yeah,
this
but that's
season,
a
is that we never see any character development. In fact, I feel like she regresses. Anything we learned about her last season was it. At the end of this season, I really felt like they should have renamed the show from Doctor Who to Amy Who. Because who is this person? I don't know her anymore. I don't know her
She's
anymore.
married to Rory. They have a life. I mean, what more do you need to
Okay,
know?
that's her defining trait. She's married.
Why wouldn't it be?
Oh my
What do you mean?
Okay.
Like, she's married. She chooses to be married. Why is this a
Oh,
bad thing?
That's all that is? That's all she is her marriage?
No, who said that? Now who's going to extremes? I
The
never
question,
said that.
But
the
that's
question
what
was,
they just
what's her defining point? And
No,
you-
I didn't.
You
No,
said
I
that
didn't
she
say that was
was
defining. And you know what? No, hold on. If I didn't hear your question right, I'm sorry. This is not her defining point, but this is part of who she is. She is married to Rory. She's now a couple. What happens at home when the doctor's not there? We don't know. There's a lot of stuff that happens off camera.
And
Like,
that's
what
the
else do you
problem.
want to know about Amy? She took a job where she was modeling a cosmetic product, because we saw that when they went to the mall. Well, I mean, what more do you want to know about her?
How about anything?
yeah.
What do you know about Sarah Jane Smith when she left the doctor? What do we know about Ace? What do we know about Donna?
Marco,
What do we?
those were half a century
No.
ago when
The
women
only companion that
this
we
is
know.
2018, she or 2011 when this came out. Women deserve better by now on television. They deserve better portrayals, something three-dimensional.
Like, well, okay, what do you mean? I don't get where this is going.
So, no,
Because women
I
aren't allowed to
completely
be
agree.
married on TV, or
No.
then?
What?
That's not what this is about. This is, okay, so Amy's character got very thin, and I'm not saying she needs to always be showing emotion, but there needs to be some nuance. It needs to be addressed every once in a while. It needs to be somewhere in there. And we're gonna talk about the Amy Pond in the TARDIS moment later, and there was a lot there, and there was a lot that was very nuanced in that episode. I wish that an ounce of that would have been sprinkled into each and every one of those episodes so that we could have seen Amy actually processing dealing with this issue of loss. Even if it had just been, if they had decided to do it this way, where Rory takes Amy aside and he's like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay with all of this? And she's like, yeah, this is just so crazy, but it's almost okay, because I kind of don't remember having a child. It seems partially like a dream, and this makes it all seem okay. If it had been even addressed with that small modicum of throwaway, it's like, okay, well, they've said that. That's what the rules are. But it seems completely out of character for any person to be like, oh, yeah, I had a baby. Oh, oops, I lost it, and it's a fixed point in time. I guess I'm not sad about it because I know that the child's okay. It's like there needs to be at least something in there, because I don't think a character as relatively well fleshed out as Amy Pond could have put that all up inside of a box and forgotten about it.
I don't know. I don't necessarily agree. I don't think you have to be this wailing character or this.
There you go
I
again.
just don't see it. I don't see it.
Nobody had to be wailing. There you go again to the worst place, Marco. Why is it that every time we talk about women emotion, you go to the absolute extreme?
Oh, obviously because I'm sexist. Obviously. Obviously because I don't care about women. Now we're talking about going to extremes. Look, that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is that she has spent all this time with a doctor. She knows it's going to be taken care of. It's going to happen. Rory had to wait 2,000 years to get his situation resolved. It's going to happen. They understand fixed point in times like we don't.
Okay,
And once again, and I can't reiterate this enough, we don't know what's happening off camera. We do not know.
And don't
but
you think that's a problem, though?
but this
I
is a
don't think
TV
so.
show. This is a TV show. It's supposed to show us all of the important stuff.
Of the Doctor. This is Doctor Who, not Amy Who.
Yeah, but like I said last week, they certainly set this up that this is now the Amy Pond show. That this is all about her. She introduces the show. It's all about her adventures, and I feel like this is not addressed. I
That's not
felt
even
like they
true.
made that major shift,
That's
and I
not even
think
true because we have several episodes in the season where she doesn't even show up, or if she does, it's like not even 2 minutes.
yeah. So explain that. Why is Amy Pond introducing
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
episodes she's not even in?
intro issues aside, this isn't about Amy Pond. This is about the Doctor.
This is about Stephen Moffat and sloppy storytelling.
Thank you.
This is about them not taking a few moments to think about how to clean up these very major story issues. And Russell T Davies' problems are his own problems, but I really feel like Moffat just dropped the ball completely on the second half of this season, and every single episode feels very disconnected from the main storyline.
That's
The
because he's good at episodic storytelling. But I feel like as long arcs over a season, he's not cut out for that. He's very good at one or two episode stories where really awesome things happen and really interesting villains, that he creates. But those do not sustain a season. They're not cohesive. You understand?
yeah,
And then his lack of character development with Amy this season, and I felt again like she regressed from what we thought we knew about her last season. This was all, it was disappointing to me. It was a letdown. I after the midseason finale, I was just like, what the hell? And the second half of the season did not make it any easier on me, because I felt like I was kind of seduced by season 5. I was like on board with Matt Smith, and I loved Amy and Rory and some of the storytelling. And so this season, it just, I'm not saying it was bad, by the way.
No.
It's still better than season 3, but it's just so disappointing compared to, what I felt last season was like. And just not understanding Amy or any of her choices this season, or any of Moffat's choices for her, I should say. It wasn't just the second half of the season for me. I guess maybe I had weird expectations because you know how like at the end of last season they rebooted everything and she got her parents back, they didn't die. Like being raised by her parents should have changed her in some way, and she's exactly the same, and like we never got to see her parents again. They're not even mentioned again. We see Rory's parents next season. In fact, his dad gets to go on the TARDIS with them.
Yeah.
And we get none of that with Amy, and that's one thing. Say what you will about Davies, and I've said a lot, but we saw the previous companions with their families, and it told us who they were. Do you understand? Like with Rose, okay, Jackie's kind of embarrassing, let's face
That's a good
it,
point.
but she defended Jackie. She was always there for her. Sometimes she played more of the mother than the daughter, and you know what I'm saying? But she loved her mother unconditionally still. And we saw a lot of Rose's traits come out because of her mother and her relationship with her. And the same thing with what little character development we got for poor Martha. You know, we saw her as like she was sort of like the go-between with her family. You know, she was always sort of in the middle, trying to be the peacekeeper. And so it made sense to me, like at the end of that season when she went on that journey for how many years to try and get everybody together in unison to save the world, you know, it sort of made sense to me in the context of what I knew about her from her family. With Donna, I mean, good Lord, did we learn anything about her mother and her relationship with her, and why Donna had so little self-worth when we first met her, you know, in the Christmas special. And then, you know, then we met her grandfather, and who kind of evened everything out. And with all three of those companions, their relationships with their parents were paramount to learning who they were as people. And we don't get that with Amy. I thought we'd get some of that this season after what happened at the end of season 5, and we didn't. So right off the bat, I was kind of confused about, well, why did this happen? Like, you know, why did you drop the ball here? You had an excellent chance to tell us about who Amy is as a person now that she has her parents back, and they're never discussed again.
You bring up real good points. You really do. I actually never thought about that, and those are real good points. But we only know that she gets her parents back. We don't know what her relationship was with her parents. And I realize this is a bone of contention with you, but the disconnect between her and her parents could very well explain the disconnect between her and her emotions when the whole baby situation happens.
It could be, but that's never, I mean, we're left to guess. And it's all just conjecture on our part. And a good, cohesive story will tell us what those motivations are. And we'll fill in those gaps without us having to be like, well, maybe it's this, or maybe it's this.
But we don't know enough about Amy to know what she might have done or what she should have done. And that is a problem. And that's something that I feel, you know, because, and I know Marco's just going to roll his eyes at me, but look at the female characters on Sherlock as well. Moffat's just not good at it. He's not good at female characters. He just isn't.
Let me say this. I am still deeply in love with Amy Pond. I want to be Rory so I can be married to Amy, and so I can be Rory because he's a badass. But, you know, I love Amy Pond to death. I wish she'd been given more here.
Okay, I don't understand the criticism of Moffat not being able to write for women. Like, I don't see that at all, not in the slightest. If you want to make a point about he didn't delve too much into the whole emotional aspect of it, fine, right? We're going to disagree on that. But how that equals to him not writing well for women, I don't understand. I just don't get that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we could get into a long argument about it, but we'd be starting to have to talk about Sherlock, too.
But
and
there's plenty of female characters that he created in Doctor Who that are very strong, and they take charge and they deal with consequence. And I don't hear a credit for him on that. I just don't understand the criticism. To me, it doesn't add up, not one bit.
I think this is one of those, I mean, I don't know whether I can definitively say Moffat is bad at writing women. I can definitely say that season 6 Amy, second half of season 6 Amy, is a little more thin than it should have been, with the exception of The Girl Who Waited, which is an incredibly weighty episode, and we'll get there. But
Right. But before then, you have Liz 10, you have Rosanna Colvieri in Vampires of Venice, you have The Hungry Earth, which is basically completely led by the female characters. You have the Pandorica, where Amy is the center of the universe. I don't understand the criticism. And if you want to talk about Watson's wife and how that ruins all the female depictions in Sherlock, then I really don't understand the criticism.
Who said Watson's wife it ruined all the female?
No, I'm just saying. I mean, if that's gonna be that's gonna be the crux of the argument, because
No,
there's females in Sherlock that are fantastic.
it
They're
starts
written
with Irene
brilliantly.
Adler and how he ruined her, and goes from there.
The
It's
what?
it starts with Irene Adler and goes in how he ruined that character by making her a freaking sex worker, and
Because they don't
goes
exist,
from there.
and that wouldn't be a good cover for somebody who's
And
working.
in the Sherlock Holmes book with Irene Adler in it, she one-ups him, right? She wins.
She one up him in the
No,
series.
she didn't.
Oh, all right.
No, she didn't.
Okay. All right. She didn't.
She fell in love with him, first of all. How pathetic is that?
All right.
Oh, a woman fell in love with Benedict Cumberbatch? That's
No, she fell in love with a sociopath. She fell was
Never
not
mind that she dragged him to another continent. But all right.
No, I don't know. I feel like this is one of those broad conversations that we're gonna have to have out finally, like after we get done with season 9, because there's still more, and we keep coming back to this. I think it's our like second or third most favorite topic is whether Stephen Moffat can write women.
By the way, watch Coupling, which he wrote, and then we can come back and talk about.
Oh yeah, Coupling. Oh, I've never.
Apparently, he can't write women well.
Oh, the gauntlet has been thrown down. Anyway,
Yeah.
I wanna move on because I mean we've talked about a lot of other episodes here, but there are more I want to talk about specifically. So let's talk about Night Terrors. And again, a shout out. I keep forgetting to note when Mark Gatiss writes an episode,
He's
but
brilliant.
his are some of my favorite. And this is, despite every single one of these other episodes, my major criticism is why aren't we talking about River? Why aren't we talking about the Doctor's impending death? So let's just call that a blanket criticism, and then I'll pretend that we are talking about everything else in these episodes and what makes them great otherwise. This was great, other than that fact, and really creepy. That kid George was just he was just fun. He was awesome, and the fact that they had to figure this whole thing out, I thought was cool. And all of the things that were making him afraid. He's afraid of the elevator. He's afraid of the old lady down the hall, and they put them in his cupboard, and then everyone else ends up in the cupboard, and Amy gets turned into a crazy doll.
Crazy doll, yeah.
Scary. Lots of scary stuff. That is, it's scary in a very childish and childlike way, and they skirt that really well. And so I really appreciated that and thought they really knocked that out of the park.
Yeah, I think this was a great cautionary tale to old ladies about minding your own business, or else you get sucked into the trash. But it was a fun episode, and you know what? Those stupid little toys. I'm gonna be a 40-year-old man in a couple of months, and they still kind of freak me out.
They're freaky.
Yeah, they're just so weird, and to see them come to life and chase you, I think that adds to the fear and terror the child was feeling at being alone and unloved and unwanted. And we tend to forget children this way, because we think that if we just come home and just acknowledge that they're living, that's enough for them. But kids need so much more than that. In this case, it was more than just a kid. He was an alien creature.
Yeah.
But that's just adding more flavor to this basic fundamental need that children have that they don't always get. And I was kind of heartbroken because the kid knew. He felt that he wasn't wanted. Like it was the emotion was tangible throughout the entire episode, and I thought it was very good. Obviously, it's not part of the continuity to the story of the season, but I thought it was a very good episode, very very well written by Mark Gatiss, and that kid was just unbelievably good as an actor. I hope he's not shooting up heroin somewhere.
I hope so too. Yeah, I thought that was really cool, and kids definitely sense like what's going on, like when there's tension between parents, like they figure it out a lot more, even if we're trying to shield them from it. They know what's going on, and it makes it very hard because like even though like my wife and I don't fight in front of our kids, like they know when stuff is up, and it's it makes it. I think this really shows that kids understand those things on an emotional level, almost a psychic level, and it's almost imperceptible.
Right, I agree.
This episode reminds me of this saying. Um, I think I'm paraphrasing just a little, but it's something along the lines of that parents always have more knowledge than their children, but children are always smarter than their parents.
Hmm.
And I think that kind of fits this episode really well. And yeah, I don't think other than that, I don't think I really have anything much to add. Uh, beyond what you guys said, I always love a good Mark Gatiss episode. So yeah, I was happy with this one overall. Um, Besides your blanket statements that you, which I just don't think I'm ever gonna change my mind on this. I do have issues that the major over uh, arcing themes of the season are just not, they're not carried over into this episode really. So, but it was still fun on its own. You know what I mean? This is like a standalone type of story. This was a lot of. I really enjoyed it.
Is it Mark Gatiss? Am I saying it wrong?
It's
I
game.
think it's Gatus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't think it's
Yeah,
Gaddis, but
I'm dumb. That's fine.
Brits are crazy though with their pronunciations,
No, no.
aluminium and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, come on. We
Plus,
we.
they say schedule. Who the hell says schedule? I hate.
Classy people, that's who.
I grew up in South Texas. I never heard of Gaddis. I never seen that name before in my life before this. So
I've seen Gutierrez.
yeah.
I'm
It doesn't end in EZ. I'm like, what?
well. I apologize to Mark Gatiss, and if you would like to berate me, you're always welcome to come on the podcast.
Yes. No, we
If
know
I,
you're listening. We know you're a fan.
yeah,
Don't pretend you're not.
if I mispronounce your name and you're upset at me, you're always welcome to come on. So yeah, Benedict Camber Booch.
There.
Timberbooch.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's take a little tiny break, and we're gonna go to the interview with Nikki and John, and then we'll come back and we're gonna do the rest of the episode, starting with the girl who waited. Yeah, so we'll be right back.
How did that interview go?
Fun. It was only just like 10, 15 minutes, but it was just us talking about like random stuff. Uh, Nikki has like she will buy any adipose
Oh.
toy that comes out. So she has like 5 different adipose toys, and I'm like, that is so awesome. That's hilarious.
Yesterday we were at Barnes and Noble, and Julie comes up to me. She's like, "Look, the fat just falls off you." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about, kid?" And she was holding the little adipose. And I was like, I thought she was just making fun of my fatness. I was like, "What the hell, kid?" And then when I look at her, she's holding the adipose. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Every time I see one of those, I almost buy it, and then I'm like, if I buy this, I'm gonna have to buy the Weeping Angel.
Yeah.
And if I buy the Weeping Angel, I'm gonna have to buy the
TARDIS.
Tennant and Smith
Screwdriver.
Doctors. And if I buy the Tennant and Smith Doctors, I'm gonna have to buy the TARDIS. And then I'm just gonna have to buy all of them.
Yeah, you have to have the screwdrivers.
Yeah, and I can't. It's like that's the thing, especially with like Funko Pops, is like I'm like, okay, if I can buy just one and not feel the need to buy the others to complete the set, then I might get it. But if I can't do that, then I can't. or else I'm just going to end up spending $100 on vinyl Funko Pops. So
I like those though.
they're really fun.
They're awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, they're small, unlike your giant 3 foot tall stormtroopers and Darth
Those are
Vaders. And
awesome, dude. I want them all over my house.
if I had room, yeah, absolutely.
You
If I
make
had
room for those. It's Star Wars, dude.
if I had room and I had money, yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah, I didn't even go see all the toys on Force Friday because first I have to save money for my vacation. It's only like 4 weeks away, but also I just, I know that I wouldn't have any willpower. So I had to stay away. Just had to stay away.
I
I,
had zero willpower. I'm so glad that people took 3/4 of the toy section because I would have spent a crazy amount of money.
yeah,
here's
I
here's
paid my rent, you know what I mean?
yeah, I paid my rent, I paid my electric bill, I paid the phone bill, paid off everything that I needed to, and we just looked at it, and I'm like, eh,
Next month.
yeah, and it's not like they're not gonna restock these things, and it's not like, um, and if I don't get all of them, I'm okay. I just, I'm gonna have to make peace with getting whatever I can. So that's gonna be all right. There's nothing that is so amazing that I feel like I have to get it. So like, again, my wife was at Target yesterday and she found a Poe Dameron Funko Pop and she's like, "Do you want this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of do, but if you get one, I need you to get the Rey and Finn ones too, because I don't know who these characters are. I think Poe Dameron's probably gonna be my favorite, but I've seen like 2 seconds of him in this movie, so I don't know. Like from the character description, like that's who I think I'm gonna like, but um yeah, I don't know.
Oh, speaking of which, I got into a Facebook fight.
That never happens.
Because of course I don't do that.
That is
Uh,
kind of fightable.
no, some acts had a couple of them were saying John Boyega is already the worst character in Star Wars, or he annoys me because he looks so annoying. Like there are all these like quote unquote like codes. Like one guy said he's gonna bring the hood to Star Wars, and I'm like, you assholes, man! Like, are you kidding me? You're judging. We've only seen him like for 10 seconds worth, and you're basing all this judgment. There's only one reason why you're passing this judgment, and it's because of the way he looks. And some guy had the gall to
Because
say,
you're racist.
yeah, some guy had the gall to say, it's not because it's black. It's just he's got this stupid jaw that just shuts out and makes him look so ghetto. And I'm like, dude,
Oh my God.
like, how do you not understand that that's racist? And he answered back. He's like, oh yeah, I'm a racist. Throw out the racist card. I'm like, yes, you idiot. Like, can't
Yeah.
you hear yourself?
When you say something that is racist, that a black person has a stupid looking jaw, yes, that is racist.
God, I hate that.
Oh, jeez. It's
I
like,
hope the movie's nothing but 3/4 of him looking into the screen, just smiling with a lightsaber,
Was
just to
this
piss everybody off.
Mike Head or whatever his name is, your friend?
oh,
No,
that.
actually, he's like when it comes to comics and superhero movies, like our opinions are the same. When it comes to politics, we want to murder each other. It's weird.
Mm.
Yeah, but at this point, I don't want to like unfriend him because I don't want to make it seem like I'm the intolerant a-hole.
No,
It's so
here's-
stupid.
No, that's why I'm still friends with Eric.
Oh yeah, Eric Bishop,
Yeah.
idiot.
I'm like, I tell him because like, when I post something like I post a thing about Kim Davis and how she's not a hero or something, and how like anyone who wants you to live in a country where religion is the rule of the day, and like it had Osama bin Laden, next to it because he
Hmm.
wants, a religious state basically too. And he's like, oh my God. And I'm like, Eric, if you really think I'm like racist or crazy, unfriend me. But he never does. He never does. And we've been through this so many times. Like every time I post something political, he's like, oh, and I'm like, if you think I'm that terrible, unfriend me. But he won't.
Yep.
I don't understand. It's like, but for the exact same reason, Mark, I'm like, well, I'm not going to friend him because then I seem like in
Right.
his mind, that'll just be a reason for him to nail himself to the cross. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I'll be like, told you so. I
Yeah,
told
Yeah.
you.
intolerant liberal feminist woman over here. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not going to give him the satisfaction. But I did put him on mute. I don't see any of his posts at all.
That's
I should do
smart.
the same.
No, that's totally worthwhile. Yeah, I have like specific rules. Like I will not friend request anyone who I don't know in real life. And so if a and like I won't friend request people who I work with unless I'm actually like their friend and I want to like let them into my world. They can friend request me and I'll be like okay. But then it's like okay, you asked for it.
Right.
If you complain about like what I'm putting up, it's like, hey, you friended me, not the other way around. So you can like, hey, the unfriend button's right there. Feel free to mute me. Feel free to do whatever. But um, you know, I yeah, I generally don't. Yeah, I'm not. I don't.
Real quick, boys.
Huh?
Okay.
Oh, she's gonna go on break.
Yeah,
What?
she's gonna go on break. Got to go get her drink on again.
Break is rum and coke, I guess.
Yes. What kind of slush is that?
Oh, lime. I love
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, we went to Sonic and I paid like $3 for all three of us.
Yep. Happy hour, bitches.
Love it.
Yep. Jackson, what's the matter?
Oh, is he angry about the game?
No. He said, why do you keep swearing?
Oh. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Julia likes doing that to me.
Yeah. Well, I so rarely do, especially around them. But it's like when I'm talking to adult people, then yeah,
It just flows.
yeah.
So, what were your friends' thoughts on Doctor Who?
Um, what do you mean, my friend?
Your I forget her name, from New Zealand.
Oh, Nikki. Oh, she's
Nikki.
your friend too. She loves us. Yeah. She. Um, we figured out that we have the exact same taste when it comes to doctors.
Oh,
That I think this is where I'm feeling, and I like 100% have a caveat here because I'm not done with Matt Smith. But I think I like Tennant more than Smith, but I like the Smith storylines and episodes more than I like Tennant. I would like a reality inverter where I would have the ability to see David Tennant in those seasons. Um, I'd be interested in that. Um, and maybe it's worse. I don't know. Full caveat that could be worse, but I think I like Tennant more than Smith. Um,
Boo!
boo.
yeah, and she
Yeah.
she feels the same way, but she's also really growing on Capaldi, and I'm like I might feel the same way too.
Nope.
I don't know.
Nope.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't hate Capaldi. I just I we haven't gotten much on him, and I know he was being hashed out last season. So I think this season we're gonna get the real Capaldi as the Doctor. So I'm pretty excited about this coming season. I'm
yeah.
really jazzed about it.
Speaking of, let's get right back into this because I have an actual cool milestone or an announcement. Um,
Nice.
Today is the 1 year anniversary of the day I watched my very first Doctor Who episode
Oh, nice.
of the
Fanfare.
Inside the Dalek. So yeah, that was in Adam and Eddie and Jeremiah's apartment in Salt Lake City when I was up for Salt Lake Comic Con, and we all watched that together. So 1 year ago today, woohoo!
That's when it happened.
That's when it happened. So um, we'll we'll get to see more of Capaldi soon, and I'll get to that episode in like 2 weeks from now. So that's exciting. Um, but get back to um, let's get back to these episodes. The Girl Who Waited. I think other than Let's Kill Hitler and the Wedding of River Song, this is the episode that I have the most to say about. Just because by the end it was such an emotional
Right.
journey and so tough. Um, and I kind of wanted to bring this up when we were talking Let's Kill Hitler, but I think it's even more appropriate now that, whatever faith Amy Pond seems to place in the Doctor, I think is absolutely misplaced.
Yes.
He doesn't really do right by her, and she goes through a ton of crap because he can't save her. He can't fix her. He can't fix these things that are going on, and he kind of sacrifices her to the quote unquote greater good. Um, Even though he's saving the Amy Pond in the TARDIS, the Amy he couldn't save is, that's heartbreaking. And the journey she went through, having to wait 40 years for the Doctor to come and find her, and instead becoming her own kind of warrior badass, um, is, that's just so tough. Um, and it makes me really feel for her. And to some degree, it blunts a little bit of the criticism that I have and that Melissa has of like, well, what about Amy when she's not with the Doctor, where she seems very mundane? It's like, well, here's an instance where Amy is left all alone and, grows into that and becomes, incredibly awesome. Unfortunately, she also gets very bitter along the way, and
Right.
that's very sad. So
This episode has so much in it. Like you can't even believe how much it has. First of all, there is the mirror aspect of the Doctor's wife. Remember when Rory, when House is messing with Rory and Amy, and she can't find Rory, and then she finds him dead, and he's written on the walls, "I hate you, Amy Pond."
yep,
Um, it's sort of inverted, and Amy hates the Doctor now, and she doesn't trust Rory because they left her behind. So there's that. Uh, the emotional aspect of this episode, I mean, I can't say enough about it. It's so heavy with emotion, uh, all throughout, and especially the way it ends. It's heartbreaking. But this shows you how cold and calculating the Doctor can be. Because he knows that the moment he saves current Amy, TARDIS Amy, that timeline will cease to exist. It's over. So he sees things in an analytical way. It's all cold. Where Rory is all about emotion. He loves current Amy a lot. I mean, he adores her, but he knows that there's an Amy who waited, and he immediately connects with her too. So he's torn. He wants to save both of them. But the Doctor the whole time knew that it couldn't be done. So we have rule number one again. What does the Doctor do? He
he never
lies.
lies. Yeah,
And nobody remembers this. But that's the heart of the episode. Now, I need you to remember this. Where Amy goes into that garden, remember that?
yeah,
That place is extremely important, and you need to remember it because it comes to play in a major way in season 8 with Capaldi
Okay. I
in a
will.
big way. And I think this might explain Missy. But we'll get to that when we
To
get to
remember
season 8.
that like Lake Silencio.
Huh?
He needs to remember it like he needs to remember
Yeah.
Lake Silencio.
Oh, hey, I'd like to point out I went back and
Sorry, I had to bring it up again.
Am I charging with too much, Andy?
no. I would like to point out that the first mention of Lake Silencio did not happen until Let's Kill Hitler. It was not named in either of those first two episodes.
You're such a liar because it's brought up. It's in letters. It says Lake Silencio, and it gives you the year. You just weren't paying attention.
You blinked or something.
Okay, I blinked and I didn't mention it, but they mention it a ton of times starting in Let's Kill Hitler. So I think it's okay that I overlooked that one small detail that then became a big deal starting with this episode.
Yeah, well, don't forget that garden. Don't forget about that.
I won't forget the garden.
It's getting very important. It's like I told you, Moffat loves doing that. He will plant a seed and he'll harvest it later on and bring everything all together. He hasn't even fully explained it in season 8, but it's gonna have to be explained at a certain point in season 9, I think.
Cool.
So that's pretty cool. But overall, this episode, it's just so hard because Rory and Amy obviously have this codependency, and the whole story plays on that. And I love how the coldness of the Doctor is shown in this episode because he can be a very cold and calculating man.
Man in air quotes.
Well, yeah, man.
Melissa, what do you think?
This was a like an emotional episode, but for me, also it underlined the fact that I would like to know more about Amy Pond, like the person she turned into in the 30 whatever years it was. That person was much more interesting than anything we got to see from her this season.
Amen.
And it just underlines how little we really know about Amy as a person outside of her marriage or the Doctor, Like we know that she's into Van Gogh, but then that was dropped after Vincent and the Doctor, and we never hear about her. I mean, is it just Van Gogh? Is she into art in general? Or just paintings, or just that era? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't know anything about her, and I feel like this just underscored that because I felt like we knew more about this future Amy than we do about the real Amy this season, and so it was good, and I enjoyed the episode overall. And yes, the Doctor was a complete SOB, but it just, for me, it just kind of shone a mirror on it more, like on this glaring problem I feel like we had with Amy this season, where she's, personality-wise, she seems to have regressed some, and it's disappointing because she's had the longest tenure of any New Who companion, and I know less about her than almost any of the others at this point, except maybe Clara, and that's only because, well, we'll get into Clara later.
Right. Yeah. Clara's a whole other.
Yeah, we'll get into her later. But out of the other companions, we know less about her than anyone, and yet she was there the longest, and that's troubling. That's just not right.
Agreed.
And so even though I did enjoy this, it still brought back the disappointment I had been feeling since the whole baby thing, basically.
Yeah, well, again,
since episode 1, because I thought they would address having her parents back, and they never did.
Yeah.
That disappointed me.
Yeah, I think, that goes back to that kind of blanket criticism I have for most of these episodes, but this got the closest to addressing that of any of them, and so I appreciated that. I
like the mirror thing, did y'all just kind of, it was kind of freaky, but it was cool, like with the,
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
like it.
I thought that aspect visually was really fun to watch.
Absolutely.
I think another thing is the title of the episode is "The Girl Who Waited," and we know that the Doctor appeared to Amy Amelia when she was a little girl, and didn't reappear until she was a woman. So she waited a long period of time, and though it may not be written in a satisfactory way to where it meets everything you guys want, I think this mirrors what she felt in that time span, where she felt abandoned by the Doctor.
Yep.
It's a clever way of condensing all of that emotion she had. And this is conjecture on my part, but I think it's a clever way of condensing all of that in one episode and not fully visiting it, which obviously is a problem for you two. But I think this might have been of a compromise, or maybe it was intentionally done that way.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
No, I don't buy
But
yeah,
it.
there's Moffat does this. There's like mirror. There's symbols all over the place throughout the season, and this is the way I feel. This is the way I see it, and I'm not. I could be completely wrong, and I probably am, but I think Moffat worked it out this way for that reason.
No,
Yeah, it's just what I think.
you're an apologist.
I'm not an apologist. I'm not hung up on those things. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't.
exactly. No, I'm just kidding.
But it doesn't. And I'm probably just a cold person. I don't have that deep relationship with my parents. So my parents are hardly ever in the picture whenever I mention stuff about my life. I guess that's why I connect well to it. I'm having a better time with it than you guys are and a lot of other people are. Maybe that's it.
I mean, that's true. Although, let me say that even though, I mean, I may have strained relationships with certain of my parents, that my relationships with them and growing up with them define a lot of who I am, even if they're not as much of a part of my life right now, you know? And so I think that I mean, we're missing that piece, but that doesn't always need to be addressed in everything, but it would have been nice given the pattern of how we've been introduced to companions before, where we've used their families as that kind of um, template to bring out who they are. I mean, in this, they really replaced that, and you can either think that that is a very clever thing or a very not clever thing. But essentially, here the family is Amy, Rory, and the Doctor. That they're their own little family unit. I think that has its own failings. On the other hand, I think it's also a really cool thing. Um, there are things that I wish that they would have done a little better.
And you know what? You're right about them having their own little family, but if that's the case, then they needed to find another way to really tell us more about Amy, and they didn't. They never did.
No, that's exactly true.
Replace her family with some other device to get us to understand who she is. But they never do that. And I can say this unequivocally, having seen the rest of her episodes too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Completely agree. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah, let's move on to the God. Let's move on to the God complex.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
It addresses what you said previously, just a few minutes ago, about how Amy's faith in the Doctor is misplaced.
Yep.
This brings it up to the forefront, and
Yep.
she has to deal with that. Beautifully, well written.
Praise him.
Yeah, praise him. Praise him. It was the monster that we were promised all week long when those of us who got to wait a week between episodes. Even though he was scary and well used, it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be this whole episode. I honestly thought it was going to be like a labyrinth type of thing where the Minotaur was chasing everybody, and they needed to help each other survive, and it completely was not what I was expecting. The fact that this is a fracturing of Amy and the Doctor was essential to me in terms of the storytelling for the season.
Hmm.
And like I said, it was very well done. I liked everything about it.
Yeah, I did too, except for my overarching problems with these episodes. But man, it's like it's cool. It is a maze. They're being chased by a minotaur, but it's a hotel, and the hotel rooms have the thing that scares you most. That's that's really cool.
What do
Um,
we think it was scaring the Doctor? They don't show, but what do we think it is?
um, I don't know.
Huh? What do you guys? What do you think, Melissa? What do you think scares the Doctor the most?
The fact that he killed his people.
No, it had to have been a person or an object.
Maybe
It has to be something from his past. I
maybe
mean,
his mother.
I I
yeah,
thought so too. I thought so. I thought it was his mother.
Hmm.
Um, or it could have been his first wife because he was married before. He had a kid before. It could have been his first wife. We of course there's no way of knowing this, and I wish Moffat would have showed us. But this is what pissed me off in this episode. Like, just show us, dude. I can't stand that. But I like that there's a bit of mystery to it. But at the same time, I was just so frustrating because I really want to know what scares the Doctor.
You know what? I bet I know what scares the doctor. Is I bet it's John Hurt.
Ah, holy crap, dude! You haven't even gotten there. You know this. But
Nope.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Huh.
Yeah.
Another version of his,
It's
a warlord version of himself.
it's
Holy crap!
the
yep
war doctor. So you're saying the war doctor scares
is what scares him.
Right.
Yeah.
himself?
Yeah, he's scared of himself. He's scared of that part of himself.
That part of himself.
That is good, Andy.
Look at Andy go!
Yeah.
Whoa.
See?
Who do you think you are, Moffat?
I BBC, I'm available.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
I always figured it was
Yeah.
just, something from his past because, I mean, he did commit genocide, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I didn't get into
Well,
specifics, though.
that's what made me think of it though, is because it's got to be that act and what that toll that takes on you, but then therefore, like who he was as a person when he made that decision, um, is that, or it might even be his own, you know, it could be the Matt Smith version of him, uh, who scares him the most too, because he's displaying some of those traits, and he is more calculating and willing to sacrifice others than some previous iterations. So I don't know,
Oh, the War
but
Doctor. That's I like that one. I really do.
it's an interesting idea. But I thought this was a cool idea, and the way that this kind of tied into night terrors and the whole idea of fears being what drives you, and faith being what guides you. Um, that's a very, I don't know, very clever, very interesting thing to try and explore in this sort of context. So I like that.
I hated that one alien dude who just rolled out the red carpet to the Conquerors.
I thought
Uh,
that was interesting.
he was funny too because when he was talking about one of his happiest moments was when they were getting the village ready for the raiding party.
Hmm.
I thought that was kind of funny, but I for some reason I really hated him. I couldn't stand him.
he seemed very useless, and like I don't mean to be like all pro human or whatever, but I don't know. I would have rather had like a Sontaran who was like scared of defeat or something, like something something that was a bit more. I don't know. Um, it just seemed like they introduced this character and he just didn't do a whole lot for me. He was okay. I didn't hate him, but I just didn't. I didn't think he was that amazing.
You think that was commentary on pacifism?
No,
No.
because there's a difference between pacifism and being obsequious. And these guys, like, there's strength in pacifism to a certain way, saying like you can't. I mean, you can do like some forms of resistance that are pacifist in nature. Um, I mean, look at Gandhi, look at Martin Luther King,
Right.
and not resort to violence, and there's strength in that. Um, but uh, this is just being a doormat, and that's stupid.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool.
Um, let's unless anyone else has something else to talk about here, let's talk about closing time.
I love this.
Hey, it was the return of James Corden. I was very happy with that. That was fun, and I finally get it. People were always talking about Stormageddon as like the baby name, and I'm like, why do people keep saying that people should name their baby Stormageddon? I don't get this.
Dark Lord of all.
Now I get this. Now I get that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That was
I
great.
love it. And I'm seriously considering naming my first son Stormageddon because it's cool.
Yeah, I totally do it, and then you will be not mom.
I'll be not mom,
Yeah.
right?
So, but that seemed very real to me. Like remembering back on my time when my children were infants, and they are essentially little sociopaths. But they're awesome little sociopaths, so it's okay. Um, we love them anyway. But yeah, there was a lot of fun in there, and
It was a fun episode, wasn't it? Yeah, really,
yeah,
really fun.
yeah. Again, like completely dropping the ball of
Right,
everything that's going on. But I
right.
mean, the doctor's saying he's going on his farewell tour, so I guess we can forgive him that like he was gonna do all that, and
Yeah,
um,
and he does get the envelopes from him, and he gets the Stetson
and he
hat.
gets the Stetson. So
Yeah,
yeah, so it did tie it all together there at the end. So a long way to go for that little bit, but it's a here's what I would have liked is if they would have just changed up the order of these episodes, and they would have put Night Terrors uh, like in episode 3 or 4, um, and the girl who waited between A Good Man Goes to War and Let's Kill Hitler or something like that. No, I guess they couldn't have done that.
no, it had to happen
But
after.
if they would have just moved all of these episodes that weren't tied to any uh, point in the storyline that could have happened any time at another time, I think I would have enjoyed it more and had uh, the only episode between uh, the Let's Kill Hitler and the Wedding of River Song be closing time, I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit better. Um, but that's me, and that's being used to, you know, pacing where we do like 2 episodes on story, 1 episode off, or 2 episodes off. Um, but I really like this. It was fun. It was a good way to take a little breather, um, and uh, yeah. So I
Yeah.
like that.
At this point, we did not know if Matt Smith was going to come back as a doctor. So that added to the whole "this is my farewell" tour, and I honestly thought that the finale was going to be a regeneration. because there was a lot of rumors going on about how Matt Smith was going to leave and they were going to bring in another doctor, uh, and that Moffat wasn't commenting, so that kind of added to the intrigue. So that's why I not only did I just love this episode because it was fun. There was a lot of fun to be had here.
Yeah.
And there's that whole running gay couple joke, which was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Very well done. I was kind of convinced that we lost Matt Smith as the Doctor, and I was going to have to stick around to see who the new Doctor was. So that added to it. Of course, now watching it on Netflix, you know that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's why this particular episode worked when it aired, because there is that, aura of not knowing what's going to happen next with the Doctor.
Yeah, and I think we kind of felt that way anyway, because it's like, well, how are they going to get out of this death mess? And although I didn't call it, but I'm like, after Let's Kill Hitler, I'm like, why doesn't he just wear a robot suit?
I called it.
Yeah. So.
I'm very proud of that one thing in my life, and it's on Facebook, so it's there for perpetuity. But I did call it, and I'm very proud of myself. I can start writing for the BBC now.
Yeah. See, hey, we're all available, but we come as a package deal. If you take me, Mark and Melissa have to come along as writing.
I gotta keep you boys honest.
That's right. That's exactly right. So anyway, that I thought that was really smart of how they brought that all together. So let's just talk about the Wedding of River song, since we're already getting into that. The robot suit made a lot of sense. Like I said, I went back and rewatched all of the bits around Lake Silencio in the first episodes, and to look and see if there was ever a sign that said Lake Silencio, or that.
Oh, there was.
Okay, you send me the screen cap and I'll.
You're embarrassing yourself, bro.
Okay, I didn't see it. Anyway, but when she shoots him, regenerative energy starts to come out. Here's my question. How did regenerative energy start to come out if he wasn't actually dying?
Because he had two hearts.
He had two hearts, and the robot mimics who you are. So nobody says that I was going to be sustained, but at first it started, so maybe that was just the mimicking process.
Remember, they can bring about their regenerative energy without dying, and we see this next season. In one scene I think that's Amy and Rory's final episode, right, Mark?
Yeah.
And then, but we saw it with, remember when, not to go back to Let's Kill Hitler, we won't get, but remember, she gives them all her regenerations.
Right.
So, I mean, there's precedent for being, well, no, because those aired after. Never mind. I'm all confused.
Anyway.
But I mean, they don't have to be dying, though.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so it was more of a fake out then.
Well, I remember, and in the first two, there's precedent for some weird stuff happening, because remember, in Tennant's first episode, he regenerated his hand because he was still in the first 48 hours or something. Right. So you already know there's some weird, freaky stuff going on with the regenerative stuff.
Okay.
So I guess that's why I was more accepting. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't really bother me. Plus, because I just figured they have two hearts. I mean,
Yeah, okay. I wanted to point that out because I felt like maybe, I mean, the question is, did they have this in mind the whole time, or did they figure this out after their first 6 episodes? Like, oh, we'll give him a robot suit, and that's how it is. And
no, I'm pretty sure they had that in mind from the very beginning. That's just the way that writing group by Moffat works. They plan everything out.
Well, it seems a little less planned than you would make it. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah, I know.
Kevin.
No,
No,
but
I kind of agree. If you see it as a cop out, I could see that. But at this point, I'm willing to roll with it because it wasn't a full regeneration.
yeah.
And to me, it was just a fake god and the software mimicking what a Time Lord would do.
So that's cool. The parts of the Wedding of Riversong that I really liked though were the alternate history. All of history is happening at once, with the American pyramids and the the cars on balloons in London and Winston Churchill, and that was a lot of fun. Although, I brought this up before, how they really kind of go to lengths to have like the Doctor as Jesus, and here they literally have the Doctor as Jesus, like Matt Smith with the beard, dressed in what could have been Middle Eastern garb, but was more likely Roman garb.
It's Roman, right?
But still, I'm just like, you guys, the Doctor is not Jesus. You didn't need to give him a beard. You didn't need
Of
to
course
do
not,
this.
because Jesus couldn't travel in time.
You don't know that.
Show me where in the good book it says.
For lo, the Lord did hold aloft his TARDIS, and behold, this was a fixed point in time. I cannot.
With his companion Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly it. How do you think he was able to heal the Centurion's daughter, huh? He hopped in the TARDIS and went to Rome and did it, and then
This is
came
true.
back. It's
And
fine.
this is why the Doctor can never be female, because it's God's son. Boom! Drop the mic. This is over.
And that's why he has all those regenerations. See?
That's why God gives him a do-over.
No, he's resurrected, no problem.
Resurrecting.
Okay, enough blasphemy for me today. Well, actually, I'm trying to be like anti-blasphemous because I'm like saying that I'm sick of the Jesus imagery around the Doctor. Like, the Doctor doesn't need to be the savior of everyone. So
This is true. Yeah.
So
And,
I don't want him to be that. I want him to be a flawed character, and I want to see those parts of him.
Well, you know what we didn't talk about?
What?
And it just hit me. It wasn't this episode. I think it was Let's Kill Hitler, where it was Let's Kill Hitler, where Riversong kisses him and he's poisoned, right?
Oh yeah.
And he goes into the TARDIS, and he's asking for an interface, and they show Rose, and he's like, no, guilt, and then they show Martha, he's like, no, more guilt, and then they show Donna, he's like, come on!
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool, and I think an implicit self-criticism that they understand how poorly that they've treated these characters.
Yeah.
So, they obviously didn't learn their lesson with Amy. But
Oh, Jesus.
No,
well, it's gonna get even worse next season in terms of guilt and what they do.
well, she ends up in an okay place by the end of the Christmas episode. So, I mean, if that's the last we see of Amy at that point, then
Not yet.
she's living it. No, there's going to be more. Okay.
It gets bad.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, it gets really bad.
Why did you tell me this?
Yeah.
Is it
Hey,
like?
I like the way it ended with them.
That-
Seriously.
Only Donna gets screwed worse than Amy, but it's by a hair. Amy gets screwed. Well, Amy and Rory get screwed. Bad.
Amy has already gotten.
So
screwed
they
pretty bad.
try to sugarcoat it and make it seem like it's okay.
Not really, because he's moping for the rest of the season.
Well, but like that they.
I kind of wish, I mean, we're not in that season yet, because that's the one criticism I have. I wish there would have been a clean break because it's such a downer for the rest of the season that it ruins the Matt Smith experience.
And they spend every episode leading up to their final episode sort of like almost slowly announcing it in a way with their
Right.
episodes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like rolling it out. There's this sense of impending doom like the entire first half of the season that really puts a cloud over it in my mind.
Right. Right. Whereas I would have preferred a clean break, and then some event happens, and then the Doctor has to find his way out of it, and we're pretty sure he's gonna die.
It would have been better if they left it at the Christmas episode. Really, you know what I'm saying? That would have been okay if we hadn't seen Rory and Amy again after that.
Right. Yeah.
That would have been sweet, actually.
I agree, because they get so screwed that at the end of the episode, I was like, this didn't have to happen, man.
I know. And then
I was like, this is so uncool.
And then having her named Amelia Williams instead of Amy Pond, that pissed me off so bad. She lost her identity in addition to all the other shit.
Hold on. We can't talk about that because that is a direct result of what happens.
Okay.
We're going to stop right there.
What episode does this happen in so I make sure that I get there as quickly as possible?
All I know is that what we can't tell you is that it gets worse, and it sucks. It just sucks. It's like Whedon woke up one day and said, hey, I forgot I'm supposed to be a dick. Let me write this episode. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, so I'm prepared for that to happen. That's going to be... Yeah, so next week, here's my... Oh, wait, no, we won't even get into that. Because we still have to talk about this year's Christmas episode.
Oh, yeah.
The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. The caretaker, and he sets up that awesome house for those kids, and then they save a forest, and they bring their dad back home on Christmas. Yay, beautiful.
Cheesy.
Cheesy.
I hated it.
You hated it? I kind of felt... Okay, the only thing is... about a third of the way in, I'm like, oh, if they travel through time and end up saving her husband, that's just going to be, horrible. And, oh, he's home in time for Christmas. I know that that's where they're going, but that's totally what they're going to do. And please don't let it be that. And it was that. And I was like...
Yeah. Wah, wah.
Okay. The alive forest and the tree people was kind of cool.
It's not the Titanic one. But it's
no, the Titanic one was 10 times worse.
Yeah, it's not as bad as that, but this is probably my least favorite other than that out of all the Christmas specials. And
and I had told you before that every year we look forward to it and we know we're going to be disappointed, but right before it starts we think this is probably going to be better, and then we get our asses kicked. Well, the year before with the Christmas Carol was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good, and it was Moffat's first turn at it, and it was really good. So when this one came up, I was all with high hopes, and I was thinking, this is probably going to be real good. I'm pretty excited, and I thought about the Chronicles of Narnia because of the title, and it was cheesy as hell. It wasn't horrible, but it was cheesy.
I had those same expectations Marco was talking about for the exact same reason, that the year before it was actually good, and it was actually Christmassy, because I always felt like Davies' episodes, his Christmas specials, they were if you took out the snow and the wreaths on people's doors, they could have just been any old episode, you know what I mean? They weren't necessarily Christmas themed, and so, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, But when Moffat came out of the gate with his first Christmas special being fairly Christmassy, having that kind of Scrooged vibe and whatever, I really, and it was good. It was a good, solid episode. So, I guess I had expectations, and that was a bad idea. And especially because this whole season had disappointed me so much. So I was like, well, maybe this will salvage it. But no. It just made me more mad, and and I probably wouldn't have hated it as much if I didn't have those expectations. You know what I mean? It's probably not as bad as I think it is, just because I had those expectations. So you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, but I
I
just
will.
ugh.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just the whole like, she is woman, she is mom. It just like it, ugh, just vomit.
Um,
She got to pilot that giant machine though. That was kind of cool. That, like giant mech. That was kind of cool. Figured that
um,
out.
I will say that I really did like the way it ended. Not the story, but the way it ended with the doctor going to Amy and Rory.
Yeah,
There had been a long lapse of time that they hadn't seen each other, and we see him crying at the end, which really it's this makes what happens even more heartbreaking because everything he had been through with the pawns. Notice I said the pawns, Melissa.
Yep.
Uh, Everything that he had been through with the pawns humanized him, and the fact that he's crying out of joy at the very end, and he touches it, and he realizes there's this emotion that he hadn't been in touch with. I really, really did appreciate that. That part was good. Everything before that was kind of a cheese fest, and it was a letdown. But I did like where the Doctor was in terms of being himself and knowing who he is, and knowing that he had these two people that he really needs in his life. That part to me was pretty good. But like I said, it makes it even that much more heartbreaking with the events that unfold the following season.
and that's why it would have been better to leave it there.
Yes, yes. But I mean, Moffat's like Whedon and like what's his name from Game of
George
Thrones,
R. R. Martin.
George R. R. Martin. Yeah, they're bastards with their characters. They're heartless.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible. But I mean, I'm setting my expectations low. And speaking of, we found out this week about this year's Christmas episode, and that we're going to get a very, very special guest on this year's episode, and that is going to be Alex Kingston. Yeah, River Song herself. So set our expectations low, I guess, so we're not disappointed that like it seems like the River Song episodes are usually like a high point, but I don't know if it's a Christmas episode what we want to do. Mark, you had a theory about what this might be.
First of all, I just told you that the Christmas specials are always a crap fest, but now we have River Song in it, and my expectations have just gone up, and I can't stop that from happening, which I hate myself. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully we'll have a Christmas Carol one. But my theory is that she meets Capaldi's doctor. They do whatever they have to do, but at the end, she's going to go back in time. It's going to be that event that sends her back in time to Silence in the Library, to where she officially dies. I think this is the end that we're going to see of River Song. And whatever event happens that makes her go back in time, I think that's what this Christmas special is going to be about. And if it is, I think we're in for something special. Jesus, that's me being stupid and positive again.
Here's
Go ahead.
Here's my biggest not expectation, but like if I really wanted to pull a rabbit out of my hat and be awesome, I would figure out a way for the Doctor to, yeah, he sends her back to that event, and then he figures a way to pull them all out of the computer and regenerate them.
Oh, there you go.
Or at least her, since she is a part-time Lord, that he's able to, to give her a human body or something.
Right.
So that might be interesting, but I'm not going to set my expectations. But if I were sitting in a writer's room and they said, we can get Alex Kingston to be in our Christmas episode, that is the episode that I would pitch.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but this next week is going to be crazy. So we've got I mean, there's a natural breaking point in the season where if I just do all the episodes from 2012, Asylum of the Daleks, Dinosaurs on a Spaceship, A Town Called Mercy, The Power of Three, The Angels Take Manhattan, and The Snowmen is the Christmas episode. Um, I, considering the week that I have, I don't know if I'll be able to get further than that. I really just would love to keep driving through and finish all the way through the season, and maybe even to the movies of Day of the Doctor, Time of the Doctor. But I don't think that's going to happen. Where are the episodes where the pawns get it really bad?
Angels Take Manhattan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
That tells you a lot of what you need to know.
okay.
Yeah, that would be the stopping point, I would think, if you're only gonna do, part of the season. And then you can start with Clara after that. But are we gonna call her Clara? They call her Clara, but to me it's
Clara. I do because I'm a pretentious douche. But Clara's fine. I don't care.
I don't know. Well, I'll see. I'll see how I don't know. We'll. I'll see
I
when
will
we
tell you
get there.
this. Right before the big event happens to the pawns, you're given an episode that's pretty much like a day in the life, sort of. So they really set you up for a big, gigantic fall because you feel, oh, everything's okay and the world's pretty and beautiful, and then blam, you have a bullet in your forehead. And it's just not fair.
Yay, Stephen Moffat.
It's not fair. But you know what? I think in storytelling you need stuff like this. You need to shake things up. And of course, they knew that they were going to lose Matt Smith after the season, so they had to do something. They had to do something drastic. But this one kind of hurt a little bit.
Makes sense. Well, I've heard a lot about the Angels Take Manhattan, so I'll definitely get there. But we'll see how much further I can get than that. But thanks to you both for fighting with me on this episode. I feel like we had a very man, it got really intense there for a little while. So don't worry, everyone. Mommy and Daddy and everyone, we all love each other still very much. We're all okay.
I'm going to go crawl into the fetal position and cry because apparently this is the only emotion we're allowed to have.
Oh.
Party shots!
Oh.
I can
Okay.
just picture the face Melissa's making right now.
Oh, I'm gonna put a needle in this one right now. Okay, well, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Melissa. Thanks to everyone who's listening. Thanks to Nikki and John for sitting down with me and doing an interview earlier today or earlier this week. And thanks everyone at Big Shiny Robot for hosting our podcast. And we'll see y'all next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that's over.